Hideo Kojima, the creator of the Metal Gear series and the upcoming Death Stranding, is known for many things. His style of meta commentary is one, whether it comes to breaking the fourth wall in his games or in promoting them. Let's take a look at 15 totally meta moments made possible by the man. Luden's fan, Death Stranding. One of the more recent meta moments from Kojima was during Gamescom opening night live, where Death Stranding had a fairly big presence. We were treated to character videos for Deadman, Mama, and someone named Luden's fan. The third video also served as a gameplay walkthrough of sorts, but eventually culminated in the reveal of Jeff Keighley as Luden's fan, while Keighley himself was on stage. Keighley says he was completely unaware about his inclusion in the game, but given how close he and Kojima are, we somehow doubt that. Big Boss breaks the wall. Metal Gear. Let's go back much further to the days of Metal Gear. The NES title was a groundbreaking achievement in terms of storytelling and gameplay. While not as filled with fourth wall breaking moments, it did have Big Boss calling the player in Outer Heaven upon reaching the 100th floor basement in Building 3, asking them to abort their mission. This could be done, he said, by turning off the game system. Meryl's codec number. Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid Tactical Espionage Action took the concepts introduced in its predecessors much further, becoming a venerable classic in its own right. However, it also pulled some very meta tricks. For instance, when being told to contact Meryl, Snake was instructed to look on the back of the CD case. After some fumbling about with all of your items, you'd probably realize or hear from someone else to look on the back of the physical CD case for the codec number. Psycho Mantis, Metal Gear Solid. Then there's Psycho Mantis, the psychic capable of telekinesis, mind control, and telepathy. Upon fighting him, the game is locked into an infinite conversation in which Psycho Mantis will go through your save data and comment on specific games. The only way to escape is to contact Colonel Roy Campbell, who suggests plugging your controller into the Player 2 slot. Seriously. No continues, Metal Gear Solid. Breaking the fourth wall was a fairly common thing in the first Metal Gear Solid. During the torture sequence with Revolver Ocelot, the latter will comment on killing Snake immediately if auto-fire is enabled on a turbo controller. At one point, he states that there are no continues, which fits into being unable to continue if Snake dies during this sequence. Heck, if you haven't saved in some time, Ocelot will even say, "You really want to go down that long road again?" hinting about how much needs to be redone if you fail. Stereo sound, Metal Gear Solid. Remember the encounter with the Hind D helicopter? A good way to follow its direction is by listening to the sound with stereo speakers, as suggested by Campbell and Naomi Hunter. But what if you don't have stereo sound? The two will actually pity you since it effectively makes the fight tougher. Talk about attention to detail. Paradox, Metal Gear Solid 3. Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater had its own way of messing with the player by essentially dabbling in paradoxes. At some point, if Snake, Ocelot, Sokolov die, then there will be a time paradox screen. That's because the game is a prequel and all of the characters appear later. Yes, spoilers, we know. But that's not all. Colonel Campbell from the future will actually appear and tell the player about the paradox. The Japanese version was even better since Campbell's voice actor was Takeshi Aono, who just so happened to be the voice behind the Back to the Future's Doc Brown in Japan. Campbell's weirdness, Metal Gear Solid 2. Referencing Big Boss's message from the first Metal Gear, Colonel Campbell and Rosemary, actually their AIs, will call Raiden and tell him to turn off the game console. Campbell will say, "It's a game, just like usual," while Rosemary will add, "You'll ruin your eyes playing so close to the TV," and it only gets weirder from there. I like MGS2, Metal Gear Solid 3. Metal Gear Solid 3 offered some interesting options when starting the game. If you chose I like MGS2, which was heresy at the time due to the controversy with Raiden, the intro would actually start out with Raiden instead of Snake. Don't be fooled though, as Raiden will be unmasked to reveal Snake. When told to remove the mask, Snake even says, "Good idea, this isn't right," further mocking Raiden. Mocking Raiden, Metal Gear Solid 3. Kojima and his team didn't stop there though. There's a character named Rykov who's a parody of Raiden, and Snake is told to beat the crap out of him if they should ever meet. Rykov in general is treated as a joke, even in death. During the encounter with the Sorrow, if Rykov is killed beforehand, his ghost will be seen running much like Raiden embarrassingly did in Metal Gear Solid 2. Psycho Mantis returns, Metal Gear Solid 4. When Screaming Mantis has been defeated in Metal Gear Solid 4, the spirit of Psycho Mantis will appear and attempt to use telepathy against you. However, there's no memory card on the PS3 to read. Mantis will even try to vibrate the 6-axis controller, which prompts Naomi to say, "No more messages for you." What if you have a DualShock 3 controller though? The controller will move and Mantis will hilariously proclaim that vibration is back, referencing the return of Rumble to Sony's controllers. Hinting at leaving Konami, Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes. When Konami and Kojima had their falling out, the former started removing the latter's name from all of its Metal Gear titles online. Interestingly, during the Deja Vu mission in Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes, you'll be tasked with erasing the logos of famous Metal Gear games that Kojima worked on. Games which Kojima didn't work on, like Metal Gear Acid, wouldn't be erased. Upon finishing the mission, you're told that all the markings have been erased, but every one will always be with you, followed by a message thanking you for the support. Hideo, Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain, and more. Kojima himself has made a number of appearances in the series, from Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker to Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes and The Phantom Pain. His name and likeness were both attached, though he was simply called Hideo. One nice scene was when Big Boss rescued Hideo in The Phantom Pain, prompting the response, "Snake, what took you so long?" Joachim Mogren, The Phantom Pain. Remember when someone named Joaquin Mogrim, whose face was covered in bandages and part of the fictional Moby Dick studio was used to promote The Phantom Pain? Or when images of Mogren's face turned out to be Kojima photoshopped with blonde hair and sunglasses? To think all of this was to announce that The Phantom Pain was actually Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain. Everyone is Big Boss, Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain. Not all of the meta commentary in Metal Gear Solid hit the mark. For instance, when Big Boss was revealed to be the medic at the end of Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain, with Ishmael being the real Big Boss encountered at the beginning, it was to say that everyone was Big Boss. Which is neat, except some people expected a bit more out of the ending, especially given all of the loose plot threads. And that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed what you watched and want to see more from GamingBolt, you can always hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon next to it. That way you will never miss any of our videos.